Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts I can make a difference to your life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Effortless Attraction podcast. We're on audio on all podcast platforms, and today I'm in Spain and I am joined by Christophe Chateau. What a very fancy name. Christophe Chateau. You're very welcome today, Christophe.
Thank you for having me.
French?
Yes, French grandparents. So my granddad moved to the UK in World War II, met my nan who was a nurse, and then they had a family. So yeah, French grandparents.
Well, I'm just going to give listeners a little recap on how our paths crossed, literally. So when we moved over here, myself and Jim were out for a wee walk down the Rambla, and here this Christophe Chateau comes walking along with his dog. So that's how we met, other introduced, and lo and behold, it turns out that Christophe was a dancer, a performer, West End too, and all the shows, and a life coach.
Indeed, yeah, similar paths.
High five, yes. And that's how our paths crossed. And so from that too, I thought, how perfect, because of the retreats that I'll be facilitating here. You're going to be the yoga teacher.
I am.
The qigong, and doing the breathing exercises
Absolutely.
for us all.
Can't wait.
Isn't that amazing? So Christophe, when we just talk about people's paths crossing, and I know we had a bit of a conversation there earlier on about energy and things happening for a reason. What's your take on that there?
I'm a firm believer in taking opportunity as it arises, and that leads to more positive energy. And I think the more positive you are, you tend to be more in tune with receiving positive energy. Like when we met on the Rambler, and it was obviously, if I didn't have the dog, then I wouldn't have been out walking, then I wouldn't have met you. So all these things are aligned and are meant to be, and then it leads to where we are today.
Yeah, it's amazing. No coincidences either. So let's go back. We were talking a moment ago, we were saying about your creativity. You've been a dancer for many years, Christophe. Tell us a wee bit about that. I do love a dance.
Many years ago, I was living in America for a couple of years, and I was a member of the high school dance team. So I didn't go to a formal dance class or school originally, but loved dancing, loved MTV, loved Michael Jackson, loved all that kind of stuff. So it was always dancing around the house. And then was luckily able to join the dance team at high school, and danced in parades and events and functions and bits and pieces. Came back to the UK with a bit of a thud in the sort of the Essex schoolboy that I was originally, and then just started auditioning for different productions and different shows and different things, and luckily got into a holiday camp as a professional dancer that was owned by the chairman of West Ham Football Club. And from that one job I got my equity card, so I was sort of given the professional quality stamp and the insurance to go with it, and then I went off and did a professional career performing for many years, touring and doing shows and residencies and bits and pieces, and then ended up in Jersey. Dancing took me over there, performing in cabaret, which I loved, and then I met my wife, we got married, had a family, and then we lived in Jersey for 30 years, and then sold our company and then retired to Spain. So yeah.
Well, there you go. But I love meeting people like yourself, because I think you made a career dancing, travelling the world, but most importantly, doing what it is that you loved doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was amazing because to me, because I came through the route of loving it rather than going to a dance school, I never lost the passion. A lot of my friends that have stopped dancing seem to have got burnt out or got bored or tired of it or just don't want to do it anymore, which is I understand. But I never lost that passion because I came from that route originally. Yeah. So I still choreograph, I still teach ad hoc, I still teach a few people online, wedding dances, random things. I used to judge dance competitions, anything to do with performing or dance. I tend to still dabble in a little bit in some way, and I've always loved it.
Yeah, great. You said yourself and your wife sold the company. Was that dance related, or were we more in the, would we say, the stereotypical business type thing?
It was performing arts related. It was an entertainment company. So the energy situation you mentioned earlier, while I was living in Jersey, people would come to me and say, well, you must know other dancers on the island. I've got an event. I want some entertainment. So we'd gather a few dancers that were still living there or had retired, got married, had families, didn't want to dance full time, but would do the odd corporate gig or an event or a function. And that kind of became quite regular. People would ask me, oh, do you know any singers? Do you know any dancers? Do you know any magicians? So from that, we kind of decided to set up a company in the island called Performers. And we had that for over 20 years. So we were running that. Julie, my wife, ran that from home, raised the family. I had an office job in marketing and HR, did my qualifications in that in the day, and then I was still dancing and teaching and choreographing at nights and weekends. So we kind of grew the two things together with our family.
There you go. Isn't that amazing? Just, okay, I can start a business from what it is that I know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's a bit, I'm doing a thing with ladies at the minute, business mentorship of starting your business. One of the things, start with what you have.
Absolutely.
That knowledge, that information, the passion, it's a powerful thing to begin, and then see where it goes on from there.
It grows.
So what you're doing now, you're also coaching.
I am, yeah, I do. Along the line of when I was having the business, a lot of friends would ask me for advice and information because we had the business, and we seem to be having multiple things are going on at any given one time. So they always come to me for, well, how do you manage to do all those things at once? Or how do you start? Or how do you move to the next level, whatever it might be? And so I coach and mentor a few people through that. Then I went through an official coaching program. I worked for the government for a few years in the communications capacity. There was a mentorship program through there that I went through. And I really enjoyed, and I've always enjoyed teaching adults. I've always enjoyed being able to communicate to other people a message or change something so they understand it more easily or clearly. And I found that really helped my ability to translate something successfully to someone else. And that led to people asking me, would I do it more formally? Would I do it more regularly? And that grew into another sideline business where I mentor and coach kind of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs who are busy working in their businesses and might want some help with either marketing or with general coaching on their business as well as in their business.
Well, sure, does that work great for you now? The joys and I say the blessings of technology when it's used in the right way. So you're now able to teach people online dancing, their first wedding dances, go through that, and you're able to coach people and have your wonderful life here in Spain.
I'm very, very lucky that that we've aligned things and taken the energy and opportunity where it was and made it work for us and made it fit. With COVID as well, I had to take my classes online, so our hand was forced, which made me invest in the technology to do that, made me learn the technology as well. So it's taking the best out of any situation and making it work for you, and it certainly has paid off.
Well, that all sounds very familiar because I was dancing. I was out doing primary schools, I was doing classes for over 50s ladies, and COVID came and that all stopped.
Yeah.
And I had my coaching qualification at that stage, and I took a look around and I said, you have everything you need. I had everything all set up.
Yeah.
But the thing was, there was the fear.
Yeah.
Now I have to step up. Now I have to speak what it is that I'm passionate about. I never did go back to the dancing. I have worked with a few people for a first wee wedding dance and things like that. But it's with, as you say, with learning with technology about taking things online to be of service. How important is it for you to feel that you are of service, that you can assist?
It's 100% one of my strongest drivers. I would say that's one of my values. If I list my values, being of value to someone else or to something else is the top one by a long way.
Yeah.
Having something in your head is no good to you if you can't share it with someone else or help them understand it or learn it. And also, I find that a lot of other people think they are not in a position, or they're not, or they could never do something, or they don't have the right things in place to achieve something. And I love trying to convince other people that, well, if I've done it, that means you can do it. They don't see, they see you as maybe, oh, well, it's all right for you because you can achieve it, you've done things. But they don't see the steps that you had to take where they are now, maybe. Although you might be a few steps ahead, you were in the same place as them. And I love convincing those people that we're all the same, so it's all available.
And all that divides us is our thoughts.
Absolutely, yeah. If you believe you can, you can. And I've been very lucky to have support from certain people over the years. Many years ago, I was asked to choreograph a fashion show for Marks and Spencer's, and I remember being really nervous. This big brand wanted my skills, and I was, torn whether I should accept the job or not. And I sent my quote in, and I got a phone call from the CEO who said, "I'm not happy with your quote." And I thought, "Oh, I've wrecked this opportunity. I've just blown it out of the water." And he literally said, "I'm not happy because I know the amount of effort involved in this process, and I'm going to double your quote." And it taught me such a lesson that I totally devalued my own knowledge and skill because I just wanted this particular thing. And it's lessons like that you remember through the journey that you then try and pass on to other people.
Yeah, that has been a big discussion for many people, and even Jim himself, whenever, because we work for ourselves, and even the ladies that I'm working with is putting a price on your service. Because you love what it is that you do, and I've heard so many people say, I'd nearly do it for nothing. But there has to be an exchange, Christophe.
And very often people will value it more if there is a fair price, rather than you undervalue yourself or you devalue yourself as a person. You don't value your own time, which is valuable. It is valuable, your time.
So creativity. I love creative beings. I think it's very vital and very important that we're not just one view. There's no movement. It has to be this way. You were saying earlier on that you made a deal with yourself. You had to do one creative thing every day. And I would, if I can't be creative, I know it eats my soul out of myself.
Many years ago, a friend of mine used to dance for us. She's passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. She made a comment because she had retired full-time dancing. She had an office job and she was dancing randomly for us. It was that creativity thing that she loved. It wasn't the fact that it was dancing necessarily. But I, through that, found that if I thought about it, I found that I was problem solving and being creative every day. And I found that if I didn't do that, I got really grumpy. I had to find a way to fix something, to solve something, to do something. I had to be creative, whether it was creatively putting on a picture or creatively resolving a problem. It was a way of thinking. And I find that as people who are problem solvers, their creativity, it's all one thing. And I have to do that every day in some form.
But isn't it working both parts of your brain? There's the logic linear, and which we do need, and then there's that creative, that and I think is our true essence. And we could get too conformed, or we think I can't do it, so therefore I allow somebody else to do it for me.
I love the way you can sort of find a way around an issue or move something or change the way you see something to find the way to move forward.
So question, pregunta. You love doing things, you love being of value, you love being able to assist. Did you ever find it difficult saying no, and to know that, hold on, I got to see the Christophe here?
I think when the family were much younger, my girls are now mid-20s, and I think that there was a time when I would just say yes to everything. Yeah, it was just like your excitement, opportunity going on. And then you get a bit tired, you get a bit kind of physically drained, you become mentally, a bit worn down, because when lots of people are asking you for certain things, you're excited that you're in need, as it were, or able to help people. But you have to set your boundaries and you have to set your limits, whether that be a number of people or a number of days or a time. It's learning. I struggle with kind of just saying no to certain things, whatever it might be. But as you get older, you kind of then you don't worry so much that you need all that kind of constant contact and constant, not ego, but there's this kind of feel-good factor of, okay, well, I'm in need. People want to ask me questions or help or assist. And I found certainly as I've got older, I can make a lot less judgment calls on things. I can just take things as and when I want to and just say, and I do say no to a lot of things now.
Yeah, the need to be needed.
Yeah.
I had a great lesson once upon a time where the same thing, gosh, I could help this and I could help this. And I remember sending a message to a lady one time. It probably was some sort of a problem that I saw that maybe she would need help. And she replied back to me and she says, Evelyn, thank you so much for your message, but I didn't ask for help. And that was a good wake-up call for me. I didn't take offence from it. I thought, thank you. Thank you. So I made a promise, unless someone comes and says, Evelyn, can you help me?
Yeah.
I want help. I need to. Then.
Yes.
Those wee wake-up calls that we get every so often.
Another opportunity, isn't it, to learn?
Every time I meet you, and I'm quite sure everybody will say this, Christophe, you have this happier than life outlook. You're like, hi guys, and everything's so smiley and happy.
Yeah.
What is your ritual? What's your morning? How do you keep yourself there?
I've always done my own thing. So I've always, I've never followed the kind of traditional route of being like someone else. So I've always tried to carve my own path, whether that be teaching yoga, for example, whether that be trying something new, whether it be vegetarianism, veganism, trying ice baths. I've always been curious about learning. I love trying new things. And I've found that I will take the best out of all of those situations and just keep layering it on top. You're never too young to unknow something or change your opinion. I've always been, as my wife would say, annoyingly positive about everything. But I've just found it that I'm the king of my own happiness. So I know if I'm happy, it's down to me. I've got no one else to blame or to challenge or to praise for my happiness. It's down to me. And I do love radiating that positive energy. Yeah, it's, you know, you really are the king of your own happiness. And it's.
Do you find though sometimes when you say it's wonderful to radiate that, but do you ever find yourself in the presence of people that perhaps when you walk away from them, you're absolutely wiped?
Oh, completely.
I'm drained.
Yeah, mood hoovers. I call those people mood hoovers, where they just suck their life.
Mood hoovers.
They become sort of a hoover, and you feel your energy draining away from you. Yeah.
I don't know if people realise that they are that either. I think I speak quite a lot about vibrations and stuff, and I think when you're on a certain vibration and it's become that familiar feeling, I'm quite sure you are annoying whenever they are like, oh my gosh, there's Christophe coming again. Everything's just
jazz
bright.
hands. Everything's just okay and happy.
Run.
Yeah.
Christophe, you said, and I said, don't tell me anymore because I want to hear about it now. You had your own podcast channel.
I
Tell
did.
us.
Again, through lockdown, I was stuck at home and I had to be creative. I love learning, and I had some good software on my PC at home that had an additional sound-based system that I could start to learn. So I thought, well, I could teach myself this process of editing and cutting music and podcasts and filtering and all that kind of stuff. Love chatting to people, as we are today. And had a few people that I thought, well, what can I do creatively during lockdown that I can learn, that I can connect with people online, and that I can utilise some of the connections I've made over the entertainment business and the performing for many years. So I've kind of put all that together and came up with the podcast, and just picked random people either on the island that had done well, or I've got a few friends in the West End. I've got a friend who's a prima ballerina. I ended up interviewing a Broadway Academy Award-winning set designer, and I just picked random friends and people that I knew would be fairly decent, and it just grew from there. Yeah. So I took it on, again, as a lockdown project, really.
And did you lock the door on that one, or is it still going?
No, I ran it for a good number of sessions and then said, right, that's it, it ticked my box. And then do something else that's creative, because I wasn't learning anything anymore. I was simply doing. So I wanted to learn something else.
And then that's the thing, honestly, because even with this podcast too, I taught myself how to do. I love learning these things. Like, ooh, now how would I do that? And when I read about podcasts at the start, it said within the first year, 75% fail.
Yep.
Well, I says I will be in the 25.
Good motivation.
Because I love finding out, as you say, and then when it stops interesting you, I need to learn something new for myself firstly,
absolutely.
You know, and then as you say, it adds a whole skill set.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up then, and that was a whole lot of lovely creative dancing positivity things, what would, and I love that quote, I am the king of my own happiness.
Absolutely.
I'm the king of my own happiness. I was saying to Jim, I could find myself there are days getting frustrated. I said, but I'm not frustrated with anybody else. I'm obviously frustrated at myself. And then maybe I could see Christophe going down the road and going, oh, he's so positive. But it's me that I'm frustrated with. Yeah.
I get mad at my dog sometimes. And then I get mad at myself afterwards that I've got mad at the dog, because the dog might be doing something that I don't like. But it's him being a dog. It's my lack of understanding or lack of knowledge of dogs that's the issue. It's not. So I shouldn't get mad. And then I get mad at myself for getting mad.
I had an interview, actually, a podcast with a guy who's a dog trainer. And he says it's the human at the end of the lead that needs normally trained.
Always. I tell myself that every day.
So leave us with a few tips. We'll go for 5. On this podcast is making a difference. So if someone is listening today, how could they make a difference, do you feel, from what you have learned in their life?
Keep your eyes open. a lot of people around me say, oh, you know, you've obviously had a lot more opportunity than most, and I do think that that's not the case. I think it's just that I'm in tune, as you said, about the energy of just being in tune to what is around you. I'd say, yeah, keep your eyes open first of all, and then decide to take those opportunities, because that's where the making a difference kind of comes in. What other tips would I give? I would say allow things to be, let things ride. Don't dwell on them. Don't become emotionally attached to too many things. I'm quite black and white in that kind of thing. Emotional resilience is a really strong skill. If you can do anything about improving or upskilling your own emotional resilience, I'd say that's a huge plus point. I did a lot of emotional resilience training, and it was absolutely brilliant in terms of learning how to decompartmentalize things and not worry about things, and only worry about things you can control, not what you can't control, etc., etc. So that would be another one. A couple more. Just believe that you really deserve to be happy. A lot of people don't think they have the right to be happy, or that they deserve to be happy, or that they're not allowed to be happy because of their current surroundings or situation they're in. And the last one I think would be is that very often people are unhappy because of the surroundings they're in, and they don't think they can be changed, and you can. If you can't change anything about where you are, then change the surroundings. Move yourself somewhere else.
How important is gratitude, Christophe?
Every day. Yeah. Every day I walk my dogs and I say it out loud, like as you see here with yourself. I walk the dogs and I say literally out loud to myself, this is amazing. And not a day goes by where I don't walk around thinking, it's just, I'm so grateful to have this life that we've created for ourselves here. It's just amazing.
It's stunning. And every time that, depending on where the sun is in the morning or the evening, the mountains or the hills all change, really. It's a beautiful place. It never means that we forget about where we come from.
Absolutely.
And it's an experience. And even though I always say, it might say on a piece of paper, we owned something. You know, we get an opportunity to experience Spain. We get an opportunity to experience Puerto Rico. Yeah. Because this house is going to be here long after myself. We're
adopted for a small amount of time, and we get the joy of experiencing what a place.
Well, isn't it a wonderful thing, I suppose, in this area too? I think what the big attraction was for us, it was the ruggedness, the raw nature. It's not false, you know. There is a peace here as well. So maybe on all of our journeys and the energy, life shows up as us.
Yeah, it's gone back to the ground. You know, you're walking in the rambler in the dirt with the dogs, and I'm picking fruit off a wild tree, and it's just coming from a concrete jungle in Essex originally to Jersey, which is beautiful beaches, but I still lived in a town, to here or in the countryside in the mountains of Spain, looking at the eagles flying overhead while you're walking the dog. It's almost the thing you'd see on television and just dream about that you'd never ever achieve, and yet we are able to make it happen. So I'm grateful every day.
Well, this is just lovely, sitting here and having this chat with you. I mean, talk about all divine time, all these wee dots, all your past had to happen, all my past had to happen for this moment to happen now.
Absolutely.
And I hope, ladies and gentlemen, whoever got to listen to this podcast, that perhaps the chats with Christophe and myself has made a difference to your day. And thank you so much, Christophe, for your time and your wisdom.
You're more than welcome. Don't forget to keep smiling.
I want to thank you for your continued support to Effortless Attraction podcast. I want to thank my paid subscribers. You make a difference to my work and to my life. And I hope through these podcasts, my mission is to make a difference to the lives of others. But with your help and subscription of £1.99 per month, you really do help support this work. If you'd like to become a paid subscriber, you will find the link in the main profile. Thank you so much.